Just give me a reason to keep my heart beating. Don't worry, it's safe right here in my arms. As the world falls apart around us, all we can do is hold on, hold on.
I believe there is a mystery character in the background. I believe this is Eiji Mishima. What is up, guys? DT Ninja here to bring you my Rurouni Hokkaido arc chapter 5 review and discussion. Yo, this chapter of Kenshin was freaking epic. Yo, Kenshin's chapter 5 was a roller coaster of emotion. Now, if you thought chapter 4 was good, this chapter was even, better. It just added to the, mystery and suspense of the series. A lot of things happened in this chapter. So, things like Sanosuke's reunion with Kaoru, which was really nice. Him meeting Kenji for the first time, which was hilarious, by the way. And then the Mr. Tamoto's studio, right? Kenshin, he actually sees a photograph of Hijikata Toshizo, a former member of the Shinsengumi. And we get to see his battle that he fought him in Kyoto. And that scan was freaking awesome. That was the best scan of the chapter. He fought him in Kyoto, and this memory resurfaced once he saw that photograph. So that was really awesome to see. The missing character, obviously Asahi, the mysterious girl, is missing. She's on the run. There's just this mystery surrounding this whole arc with her. So very interesting stuff. Obviously, Ashitaro and Aran are actually trying to track her down and find her and bring her back. So there's a lot of things going on, and obviously more reunions happen. Eiji Mishima, guys. Eiji Mishima. I called this back in chapter 2 that he was going to, show up in this arc. I just did not expect it to happen this chapter. So that was really awesome to see. It went from like, a really awesome scene to this really serious scene with how Hokkaido is in this state of emergency. Well, Hakodate, Kenshin thinks it's a peaceful time, but there's behind the scenes, it's really dangerous. People are in danger. Obviously, the swordsman weapons, and then suddenly we get the character Eiji coming in, so we're like, surprised and happy, and then all of a sudden we learn it's bad news. He's come to tell bad news about Saito Hajime. Hajime Saito has been utterly defeated in battle against one of the leaders of the swordsman weapons. this chapter just had a lot of things. Like I said, there's just multiple angles, multiple stories all interconnecting, and that's what makes it so great. So I have a lot of things to talk about, but what I'm going to do before that is I'm going to share my newest pickup from Japan. So this is actually from Shonen Jump. This is a 50th year anniversary edition clear file. So you can see it's actually a folder, but this is actually the very first issue of Kenshin. So its debut for Shonen Jump, which was in issue 19 and 1994. You can definitely tell there were not many big names back then. You got Slam Dunk and Dragon Ball, but there is no One Piece, there is no Naruto, there is no Hero Academia, there's no Bleach, there's no any of those series, because this is before that time. And obviously, like I said, it's 1994. It says it right there. That is when its issue was. It was April of 94. So, very good stuff. Really cool collectible. So, I thought I'd share this with you guys. It actually comes with Gintama. So, it actually comes with two. You get two of them. So, anyways, if you guys want to check out my latest unboxing, you can see the one for Gintama. But anyways, I thought I'd just share this. Okay, now on to the review. So, chapter 5 was called Tamoto Studio. Now, obviously, we're talking about the photograph. So, the key thing in this chapter is that the photograph, we're going to find more about the origins and where they come from. But it's much more than that. It goes deeper. So, I'm going to share some things that I noticed in this chapter, starting with the sign in front of the inn. Okay, so you guys know that Kenshin, once he arrived, it was nighttime. So they decided to stay overnight in an inn, right? You know, like a hotel inn. And what's interesting about this is that there's a sign shown right when Sanosuke is reuniting with Kaoru. It shows the inn, right? And it shows a sign. The sign is visible. It's clear. Now, it was written all in Japanese, so I had to translate it for you guys, and I edited it so it's there. But it says it right there. It says, Hakodate Inn, North Country. So, obviously, Hakodate is in Hokkaido, right? And that is the name of the inn where they're at. So, a couple pages later, there's this debate between Kenshin, Kaoru, Ashitaro, Aran on where Hakodate is, and it's really funny because Kenshin, you know, he's not really well versed in Hokkaido per se, because he's lived mostly in Honshu, but he points out one point and where one city might be, where he thinks it is, and then Kaoru points another, so they kind of have they lock stairs and they have this intense moment. Of a little dispute, and then Ashitaro almost points to the Sea of Japan, which is off the page, which shows, he's like, it's way up here, and everyone's like, especially Kaoru's like, what the heck are you talking about? And then obviously Aran, the know-it-all, the foreigner, the one who knows a lot about Hokkaido apparently. It's very interesting. He's very knowledgeable about Hokkaido, Hakodate. He basically says, we're standing in Hakodate right now. We're at the foot of the mountain, which, if you saw my last review, that's pretty much what I stated. I said that dark that dark shadow is Mount Hakodate, because we saw the harbor, we saw the ship coming in. It just makes the most sense for it to be Hakodate. But it's really funny because the sign is shown as Hakodate, so it's like, did they not read that sign? And you could see Kenshin being like, Oro? So it's just really funny to me. Anyways, it's obviously probably done in a way to show Aran and how knowledgeable he is about Hokkaido, because he also knows where to, to find the origin of the photograph, which is Tamoto's studio, and that's where Kenshin and everyone else goes. So kind of leads up into it. Okay, next thing, Sano and Kenji. When Sano meets Kaoru, he comes across this little Kenshin, right? Well, he supposedly thinks it's Kenshin, so he picks him up. And by the way, he's smiling. He's really funny. It's a hilarious moment. He picks him up and he's like, Kenshin, what happened to you? And so he literally thinks that Kenshin's son is Kenshin. And then he puts him down, and then he sees Kenshin right next to him, so he picks him up, and of course Kenshin's light as a feather, he's very light, and it's like no difference, but he's obviously bigger. So he's like, what happened? You just changed size. He's like, is this some Hiten Mitsurugi style technique I don't know about? It's really funny, it's showing kind of the moronic and stupidity of Sano, classic Sano. And then you got Aran and Ashitaro over there. Ashitaro's like, man, this guy isn't really that bright. And Aran, is quite savage. He's like, well, you know what, Ashitaro, you're just like him. So it's a pretty funny scene. So yeah, that was pretty good. And also Sano and Kenji seem to have this comfortable. They're very comfortable together because we see Sano actually carrying Kenji on his shoulders. Kenji becomes very comfortable with Sano, which is very nice to see. So, but anyways, pretty funny and good scenes. Okay, next thing, family moments. So, besides Uncle Sano, we have Kenshin and Kaoru, who at Tamoto's studio want to take a photograph. Now, Kenshin explains how back in the old days, there was this saying that if you take a photograph, it steals your soul and takes away part of your, part of your years and everything like this. What's hilarious about this is in the anime, Sanosuke is the one who's afraid of photographs. So this is actually now making that scene more canon because it's actually Kenshin who is afraid of photographs. Because when Kaoru asks him, let's take a photograph together, and he's like, no, I'm not doing that. Kenji and you can do that, but not me. And she's like, we're taking one. We're taking one, whether you like it or not. And he's just refusing outright. So that was a really funny moment. Really good family moment as well. Also, I like how Mr. Tamoto almost makes it seem like Kenshin's words about the superstition to be more deeper, because later on, after he has that memory with Hijikata, he's like, you truly understand the meaning of spirits remaining within photographs. So it's not just that he's afraid that it'll steal your soul. There is more to it, so I did like that. But then again, Sanosuke is the one who has, a clear head, because he's like, man, people back then, they believed in anything. But in the anime, it's the opposite. In the anime, he's the one that's saying, I'm not taking a photograph. That thing will suck away your soul. So that was just great how they added that to the chapter. It was good. I loved it. Now, Hijikata Toshizo. We're gonna get back into this. Now, as I explained, that photograph of him, we see Kenshin, he looks at him and he's like, wow, I'm not used to seeing him with a gentle expression, looking all clean like this, more... obviously, he remembers him as the demonic vice captain or vice commander of the Shinsengumi, and we get that flashback of him in Kyoto fighting him, And it's crazy because the dude is like holding onto his sword, bloody. He's got, he's damaged with, got blood coming down his eye. And Kenshin's also damaged, so it kind of looks like a draw to me. But in the way he says it, he says, even though that I was more, my sword skills were sharper than his, he was a very fearsome opponent. I really didn't want to face him because he was scary. He was scary. Even being not as skilled as him, he was going head to head with the Batosai and actually doing very well. Even though he got hurt, Kenshin was hurt as well. So that was really cool to see. But going back to the gentle expression, because after he sees, after he has that memory, he has this smile on his face, and he looks up, at the photograph. And what he says is, he's like, Masaka, it's impossible for us to meet ever again. I don't think we're ever going to meet again. But when I translated it, I changed it a little bit. So it's not a literal translation, because when I thought of it, he's smiling at him, and yet he's saying it's impossible for us to meet ever again. Why would he say it's impossible for us to meet ever again if he's smiling? Obviously, he has some satisfaction of seeing him in the new era. Obviously, before he died, because he died, but in a gentle expression, so he's more peaceful. He found peace in a way. He looks happy. So, in a way, I think Kenshin saw him, in a different light. He found the light, even though he was the demonic vice captain. The one who was most scary to Kenshin, obviously, but now he's seeing him in a different light. So I felt that is why he said, I changed it to, I'm glad to have met you once again. So it's not, it's impossible for us to meet again, even though that is the literal translation. I changed it to, I'm glad to have met you once again, because it's like a reunion. Even though it's a memory, it all connects back to what Mr. Tomoto was saying, and how, images do contain, parts of the soul. The spirit still remains. So, in a way, what Kenshin was saying is not true, but in a way it is. In a sense, there can be a spirit within a memory. So it kind of reawakened Kenshin's. So we saw that fight in Kyoto. So really good stuff. Sano is not very good at translating. So we Mr. Tomoto, turns out he is the one who is responsible for taking the picture of Kaoru's father. So obviously, Kenshin pleads with Mr. Tomoto, I beg of you, please help my wife, my son. She wants to really see her father once again, and not just some reemergence of the spirit like he had with Hijikata, but the real thing. So it was great to see how Kenshin called Kaoru his wife. It's the first time ever. And he also called Kenji his son. But then, because he reveals that, I was the one who took the photo of your father, I want you to do something for me. So give and take. And Sano decides to translate this as, what's yours is also mine. Apparently, he's been to America, and, he thinks he's, really good at in English, so he translates it. So it's pretty funny. He thinks it's what's yours is also mine, but obviously it's not. It's if you do something for me, you gotta, I'll do something for you in return. It's just, give and take, obviously. But really good stuff. Asahi, like I said, she is on the run somewhere, right? But what's interesting about this is Ashitaro actually realizes that she's missing based on the fight that he had with the shaggy-haired guy, Sako. In the last chapter, he suddenly comes into, back into the story from where they were in Tokyo, and they have that fight. Well, he suddenly realizes, Asahi was there with them. she knows them. Where is Asahi? Who are these guys? So I found that very interesting because now he's realizing, is she with them? You know, so he's starting to realize it's possible that could be the case. Obviously, we know that the old woman, or the old bag, as he calls her, adopted her, right? Or raised her. I don't know if she adopted her, but she raised her as a war orphan. So, very interesting stuff. And I like how it leads to Asahi, you know, running away. Why is she running? We're going to get to that in the discussion questions. The last thing is reunions. Reunions seem to be key in this chapter. Reunions of Kaoru and Sano. Reunion of Hijikata and Kenshin. Even though it is a memory, it's still a reunion because of that satisfaction that Kenshin had after seeing the demonic captain in a different light. And then obviously Eiji and Kenshin, right? Eiji and Kenshin. So that was really nice to see. So this really does revolve around a lot of reunions. So yeah, those are the things I noticed in the chapter, guys. Let's get to the discussion questions. I have a few topics to discuss. First, we have Asahi, and then we're going to talk about Hijikata, and then we're going to talk about, obviously, the big question, Hajime Saito. Now, the last thing is just going to tie everything in. It's not really a big discussion question. So, let's first start with Asahi. Who is Asahi Kubota? Now, we never really discussed this in detail, but who is she? Who is this mysterious girl that is running away, and is missing from Kenshin's group? Who is she? To understand that, you guys have to go back to the prologue of, Ashitaro's ex-con. You have to go to the prologue of the Hokkaido arc to know that. So what I've done for you guys is I picked out some scenes. I'm going to share some of them with you. I'm going to share some of, things that she said, and hopefully we can get a better understanding of her. And also, I have some things to share with you guys in the Hokkaido arc, so obviously in Chapter 1. So to start with, the prologue. Her connection with Ashitaro. Okay, so at the very beginning of Ashitaro, the ex-con, obviously he gets out of jail. She's waiting for him at the bridge. She's literally waiting for him. And what she says is very interesting. She says, "It's been a long time. I've waited for you all this time. So I've been waiting for you." Like, she's just been waiting for him. So right off the bat, she's very interested in Ashitaro, and Ashitaro has no idea who she is, right? He has no idea who she is, but she has all this knowledge of him, how he's also an orphan. Now, guys, I mentioned this before, but Asahi is also a war orphan. So right there, you have this connection between the two of them. So let me give you guys this scan so you guys can see closer look, and you can see exactly their characters. This beautiful artwork, by the way, by Watsuki. This is actually from the Viz version. It's very hard to find now that Viz kind of canceled the Hokkaido arc, but I still have it, so I wanted to share this with you. So take a look here at this artwork. Alright guys, so as you guys can see, beautiful artwork, right? You got Ashitaro, and he's, kind of jumping down with his blade, his sword. And then you got Asahi, she's upside down, she's kind of falling too. They kind of designed them in a way that shows their characteristics and their personalities. Getting back to Asahi, the name Asahi is also a beer, by the way, in Japan. Asahi, her kanji literally means morning sun. Okay? It means morning sun. and there's these designs on his shirt that look like suns. It actually looks like a sun, and it's, you know, kind of coming out. It's really cool looking. Anyway. So I'm thinking their attire could actually reflect the characters opposite each other. So you see what I'm saying? So Ashitaro's attire has these suns, which represent Asahi, who is next to him. And then you have Asahi, who's in black, who has this cat and red eyes, represents possibly, I'm not saying it represents Ashitaro, but it possibly could be that. You know, a little symbolism there from Watsuki. So it's very interesting. I just wanted to point that out to you guys. It also shows their personalities a little bit, because, you know, Ashitaro is more outgoing. He's, you know, outspoken. He always speaks his mind, but Asahi is more reserved. She, you know, obviously she just waits for her moment, and she kind of was waiting for Ashitaro, and then it was actually a mission. You know, she's with the Shishio faction, so she's doing all of this for them, but then every time that she meets him, it causes trouble for Ashitaro. She meets him in Rakoninmura, you know, the village of the fallen, and that's, you know, leads into the next thing where he's fighting off against all these people. And then Kenshin shows up, right? Kenshin shows up there. But then what's interesting here is that Asahi, she literally notices that Kenshin has a scar on his left cheek. She's like, oh, left scar on his right, you know, on his cheek, you know, the scar on his left cheek. She just bolts out. She runs away right when she notices it's the Batosai. She starts running away, and they don't even find her. Obviously, she goes to the Akabeko eventually, but she escapes because of Kenshin, because it was the Batosai. So that is something to think about, guys. How did she know Kenshin? Is it just because she's part of Shishio's faction, or is there another thing going on there? Is there something more mysterious there to it? So, very interesting stuff. Another thing is that Asahi hates violence. She hates violence. She is using, you know, people to get, you know, what the faction wants, but she really wants out of whatever work she's in. You know, she wants to shine in the new era. She even says this in chapter 1 to Sako, the shaggy-haired guy. All right, we're talking about this guy here. And of course, we get that reunion in the Akabeko with the two of them. I'm glad that we got to meet again like this. So, very interesting stuff. And of course, with the photograph of Koshijiro, right? It's all because of Asahi. It's all because of her. So it's because of her connections to those people. It's because of just her character, the mysteries that she's hiding. So what are these mysteries that she's hiding? What is she hiding from everyone? Is it something that she knows about Koshijiro? Is it possible that she actually knows him? I have a feeling that she does know him. I'm not saying she's related, because obviously she's a war orphan. She's more like Ashitaro, which brings me, is there something closer there? But I do believe she does know Koshijiro. So that is something to think about, guys. But where is she going? Is she going to those two people that raised her? Or is she going somewhere else? That is a very interesting thing to think about. So anyways, her actions seem as though she's playing both sides, with Kenshin and with the faction or this group that she's with, or she's trying to get out of, right? So it's very interesting. And it also begs the question, in the last chapter, where those guys come to see Ashitaro and fight him, why did they show up? Is it because of Asahi? Did she alert them? You know, that's why I'm saying, is she playing both sides? Is it just like how she set up Ashitaro in the ex-con, where, you know, there was a battle there? So very something interesting about her. So I love how Watsuki's keeping the mystery with her character. Okay, that was a lot. I hope I didn't go way over your head. But yeah. Okay, the next thing. Was Kenshin's reunion with Hijikata? Now, obviously, this is a memory, but was this reunion with fighting Hijikata a precursor to the battle he will face against the swordsman weapons in Hokkaido, guys? Is this a precursor to what's to come? I do believe so. Because remember, Mr. Tamoto said something about spirits still rising, being able to, relive the moments because that spirits live within these photographs. It's almost like the photograph is telling him there's danger coming. We're going to be facing something, grave coming soon. So very interesting stuff. And I don't want to say it just like this, but it's possible it could be against a Shinsengumi member. Is that possible? I believe it might be possible that it might be a Shinsengumi member because of the next question, guys. Saito Hajime and Eiji Mishima. Okay, Eiji Mishima comes to visit Kenshin, tells him the horrible news. Saito's sword has been destroyed, and he fought and was beaten. He lost a battle against the swordsman weapon leader. So what happened to him? What happened to Saito? What exactly happened to him? What I think happened is that he was utterly defeated. What I think happened was he was utterly defeated in battle, and he was forced to join them. Now, he probably refused. He's badly injured. But what I think is going to happen, and I stated this in Chapter 2, is that he's going to join them for intel. He wants to gather information on who they are, so maybe the leader is going to reveal who he is, why they are doing this, and all of that. Now, obviously, his justice is Akusok-san. He's not going to join them for selfish reasons or anything like that, for domination or anything like that. So we know that Saito is going to be on the inside, gathering intel on these new villains, until the time is right to strike. That's what I think. But think about it, guys. If it's possible, Saito and Kenshin could clash once again as enemies. How crazy would that be? How crazy would that be? Saito, obviously joining the swordsman weapons. Kenshin, obviously there's a battle coming. And that's what I'm saying. Hijikata's battle could have been a precursor to what happened to Saito, as well as their battle coming in the future. Now, is it going to be like the past? I don't know. But it could be just like that. It could just be their personal battle rather than the swordsman weapons versus Kenshin. It might just be a personal battle. So that would be really interesting. Although, wow, those eyes on Kenshin when he realizes that Saito is seriously defeated. Wow, that was crazy. That was crazy, guys. Now, another thing. The swordsman weapon has a member that has this cut over his eye. Now, I'm not saying it's Hijikata because we know he's dead, but it is very interesting. Maybe he is a surviving member from the Bakamatsu. He has a mark like Kenshin, so that is interesting. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about. Are these two separate roads, Asitaro and Aran looking for Asahi, and Kenshin looking for Koshijiro? Are these two roads going to connect together, and they're going to meet, and all are going to find the answers together? I just have a feeling they're all going to interconnect. That's what Watsuki is doing. They have these different stories, and they're all going to lead into one destination. That's how I feel where the story is headed. What do you guys want to see the most in the next chapter? Saito, obviously, we're going to learn the story, what happened to him. who else do you want to see? I personally want to see Sojiro come back. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be that quickly, but I can't wait to see more. Maybe Anji the Destroyer. Obviously, not the Destroyer, but Anji. Oh, one last thing, guys. For Chapter 6, it will release August 4th, so it's coming soon in Japan. However, I am going to Japan and I will be on break, so I'll be on vacation, so I am not going to be able to translate the chapter like I usually do, so it's going to be a couple week break for me, so the review won't be out for quite a while, probably a month or so, just because of my, vacation. But anyways, I just wanted to let you guys know, check out the review, check out my page on Facebook for the latest updates, as well as the chapter that I just reviewed. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one.